I think it is clear to the vast majority of the American people, if not to the President of the United States, that our country has some very, very serious economic problems. The middle class is shrinking. Tens of millions of Americans are working longer hours for lower wages. Poverty is increasing, and there is a level of economic desperation among the lowest income people in our country that many of us have not seen for a very, very long time. Mr. President, as we speak, senior citizens in the state of Vermont are finding it extremely difficult to pay for their home heating fuel bills, which are soaring as they are seeing record-breaking levels of cost for home heating oil. Emergency food banks in the state of Vermont and throughout this country are literally running out of food because many low-income working people are simply today not being able to earn enough money to purchase the food they need for their families. Homeless shelters are running out of beds. We have some major economic problems, and the time is long overdue for this Congress to begin to address them. Mr. President, as we discuss an economic stimulus package, there are members of the Senate and there are many Americans who have appropriately raised questions about the amount of money that we intend to spend in an economic stimulus package. And there are people who point out quite correctly that in this country today we continue to have record-breaking deficits. We have a huge national debt. And all of that is a very legitimate concern that I share. And that is why we should not be heeding the advice of the President, who in his State of the Union address urged us to extend hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks to the wealthiest 1% of our population. No, I don't think that the wealthiest people in this country need more tax breaks. I think we've got to start focusing our attention on the needs of the middle class, on working families, on those Americans most in need. Mr. President, at this point, let me give thanks to our friends in the House who passed an economic stimulus package which has started the ball rolling. Now, with the legislation that we are debating here in the Senate, it is our job to improve upon what the House did, and I hope that we will be doing exactly that. While the House bill has a number of important attributes, the stimulus package passed yesterday in the Senate Finance Committee is in fact a much better and a far more significant piece of legislation. The Senate bill, among other things, understands that low-income senior citizens across this country are facing very, very serious economic problems, and like low and middle-income working people, they need help. Senior citizens, every week that I go back to Vermont, tell me that they cannot survive on their Social Security checks and that the cost of living COLAs are too small. They cannot find the money that they need to heat their homes. They are having a hard time purchasing the food that they need. And that is why I very strongly support the provision in that legislation passed by the Senate Finance Committee, which will enable over 20 million senior citizens to get a one-time $500 tax rebate. This is money that will be part of an economic stimulus because these are some of the people most in need who will certainly be spending that money quite quickly, helping to create jobs in the process. So I would urge all of my colleagues in a nonpartisan way to stand with the hard-pressed, low-income senior citizens of our country and support the provision in the Senate Finance Committee bill, which says that we are going to provide a tax rebate to senior citizens. They cannot and must not be excluded from the economic stimulus package. Further, the Senate bill does another very important thing in reaching out to our disabled American veterans, many of whom are also struggling economically. By definition, these are people who have been disabled defending the United States of America. They must not be forgotten as we discuss an economic stimulus package. And at the very least, what the Senate Finance Committee did will provide a rebate for some 250,000 of those veterans, and perhaps even more. That is the right thing to do from a moral perspective. Those people deserve that help, and in fact, helping them will also provide an economic stimulus. Mr. President, the Senate Finance Bill also extends unemployment benefits by 13 weeks in all states and 26 weeks in states experiencing high rates of unemployment, and that is a good and proper thing to do as well. As unemployment rises, and especially in those areas where there are consistently high levels of unemployment, many people are going to be running out of unemployment. Their unemployment will expire. Those benefits need to be extended, and that is what the Senate bill does and the House bill does not. So in my view, the legislation coming out of the Senate Finance Committee is a more significant piece of legislation than that passed in the House in helping those people who are most in need, and it is also more important in terms of providing the economic stimulus our economy needs. But to be very frank with you, what came out of the Senate Finance Committee is an important step forward, an important improvement over what existed in the House, but we need on the floor of the Senate to do much more than what was in the Senate Finance Committee. For example, the Senate Finance Committee bill does not provide any funding for food stamps. Mr. President, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, over 35 million Americans struggled to put food on the table last year. And the number of the hungriest Americans, those people who literally do not have enough food every day, that number goes up and up and up. Economists from different political persuasions, both the left and the right, have told us that food stamp benefits would be one of the best ways to stimulate the economy. So once again, you're dealing with the moral issue that as the United States of America in the year 2008, we should not tolerate a situation where any American goes hungry, where food banks are running out of food. That is not what America should be about. And second of all, as we expand the food stamp program, we create a very important economic stimulus. By definition, if people don't have enough food to eat, they are going to spend that money. They're going to spend it on food which is by and large grown in the United States of America, and we're going to create jobs in that process. So my hope is that, again, in a bipartisan or tripartisan manner, the Senate will add food stamps to the economic stimulus package. I personally also would like to see included in a stimulus package increased funding for community health centers, because when people lose their jobs, they're losing their health care. Federally qualified health centers have been a wonderful tool to bring people into primary health care access regardless of their incomes. Mr. President, back in 2001, I was an early backer of tax rebates, one of those who actually came up with that concept. I support tax rebates for the middle class, for low-income families with children, and for persons with disabilities. I also believe that senior citizens should be receiving help in this bill as well through a bonus in their Social Security checks. So, Mr. President, I think we are making some progress. I think the Senate bill is far better than the House bill. I think we have the responsibility on the floor of the Senate to improve upon what was done in the Finance Committee. And I would hope that in a nonpartisan way, this Senate will reach out to the American people and let them know that we are aware of the pain that they are experiencing, that we know what's happening in the low-income community, we know what's happening to our veterans, we know what's happening to our senior citizens, and we finally are start focusing on their needs rather than the needs of the wealthiest 1% who have occupied so much of the attention of the Senate for so many years. So Mr. President, we've got an opportunity to do something very, very important for the American people. I hope we do it, and I hope we do it as quickly as we possibly can. Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield back my time.